You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 24. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode. It is a solo one with me, and we're going to talk about social media. I know, I do love social media, but actually we're going to talk about how to use social media to grow your equestrian business. Because I think so many of us see social media as a real time drag, because it does take a lot of time, whether you schedule your content, whether you post live, whether you just do your own or whether you do other people's. It is a massive amount of time that you need to dedicate each week if you schedule, or each day if you post in real time, to create the content, to think about the content, to make sure you've got the right imagery, the right caption, all of these elements. And it is a big demand on your time. Now, on the flip side, it's free. So although your time does have a value, and don't underestimate that, unlike when the only way to promote your business was to pay for adverts in magazines or even on websites, which you had to obviously pay for, and you had to do the work as well. So you'd have to go to the designer, you would have to make sure you had the right ad spec, create the right thing by deadline, etc., etc. So that did have a time as well. But the thing is, when it was like a magazine, even a bi-monthly or a monthly, it's still not all the time. Whereas with social media, to be effective at it, you do want to be posting every day, to be honest. And if you post in real time, that means that every day you are doing content, you're putting content out there. But the thing is that social media is a really, really great way to obviously promote your business, but it's also a great way to connect with customers, to encourage loyalty, to really connect to people. And I think that all of these aspects are so valuable to your business and will help to grow your equestrian business if you do it properly. Again, I think that a lot of people have a go at something and realize it doesn't work. And the thing is that there are very, very few things, social media included, that if you dip in and out, or if you post once and then don't bother, for weeks, it's not going to achieve what you want it to achieve. So it does take consistent effort to make sure that your social media is supporting the growth of your business. It's not just a one-hit wonder, I'm afraid. It does take consistent effort. So I wanted to talk to you about ways that you can use social media to actually grow your equestrian business, and some tips that really could move the needle for you. And they're not expensive, they're all very, very doable. It's not like I'm going to tell you to, get a professional film crew in and follow you around for the day. If you want to do that, you go for it. But the ideas here I've got about ways that you can use social media to grow your business, I think they're definitely very achievable. They definitely work, and they are definitely something that if you want to use it as one of your main marketing tools, and so many of us do, it's definitely something you need to be considering. So the first thing I want to talk about is you've got to use it. And you would be amazed at the number of people who tell me that social media doesn't work and it's not for them and their customers aren't online and all of the above. But when I actually look at their social media, I can tell you that the reason that it's not working is because they're not using it. So this doesn't mean putting one post on a week and expecting people to become your fans, followers, and love you forever. You've got to keep showing up. Even when you don't think people are there, you have to keep showing up. You can also use the feedback that you get from the posts that you put out, whether you have a huge, amazing response, it gets loads of engagement and loads of likes and loads of traction, or whether it doesn't. You can use all this feedback to help you create better content, better posts the next time around. So you need to use it in the way of posting regular content and promoting it to your following. But you also need to use it in another way, and that is actually you need to learn from the platform and you need to engage with the platform. So when I say you need to learn from the platform, don't just think, oh, I need an Instagram account, let's say. So you go on, you get your Instagram account. Instagram's about posting pictures, isn't it? Shove a picture on, won't do very well. That's not using the platform. In some ways it is, but it's not. If you want to really get the best out of any social media platform that you are working with, You need to use it properly. And I always say to people, the best way to get to know the platform, you can read the books, you can listen to podcasts, and I encourage both of those things, obviously. But the way you get to really know about it is by getting into it and looking at what is going on and looking at how it works. So things you can do include following similar accounts, following accounts of your fans and followers. Maybe you don't want to follow your competitors in a really open way, but you can make sure that you regularly check in and see what they're putting out there. That's really easy to do. If you want to, when you've got the people that you're following, look at what they post, look at the response they get, look at what works for their audience, because if you're sharing an audience, if it works for them, the chances are it's going to work for you, or at least some adjustment of it will. So don't copy them, but use what they do as a learning platform. If they put a video out, what did they put in the video? What appealed to people? If they did something really bad as well, that had people in absolute uproar and outrage, note that too, because you don't want to make that mistake. And even if you are using the platforms at the moment, you're putting out your regular content, do these things. Look at people, follow the people that you want to engage with, follow people that you think will be good fits for your business, particularly on Instagram, not so much on Facebook. And on Twitter, obviously, you can follow people too. But get involved with it. On Instagram and Twitter, you've also got the hashtags you can follow. So what hashtags are your customers using? What hashtags are your competitors using? Follow the hashtags. If they're relevant to you, follow them and see the kind of content that's being put out in on these platforms with these hashtags. That will also be a really good part of your hashtag research, to see which hashtags you might want to use on your content, and also what content you need to create that has these hashtags in it. And the other thing is engage. Now, we all want engagement on our social media platforms. It's really the kind of the true measure. You know, you can buy followers on your platforms. Do not do that, but you can. Don't do it. And you can get a load of likes. You can buy likes, but really, they don't mean anything. You know, you can have 1,000 likes on a picture and that would be a lovely ego boost. Don't get me wrong here. But actually, are they ever going to become your customers? I'm going to probably say a lot won't. But if you put up a picture or a post or a question and people have actually commented on that, people have put the time in to ask further questions, to say that they like what you've done, that they've had a similar experience, any of these things, that is what you want. But in order to get this engagement, you need to also engage. So when you are following the hashtags, when you're looking at what people do, when you are supporting people in your area. So, you know, it could be riders, for example. It could be notable magazines. Comment on what they're doing. Make yourself visible on their platforms by engaging with what's going on. Look at the comments people are leaving. Can you add anything to that? Can you help people by giving more knowledge, by sharing more knowledge, by anything like that? Or can you just say, that's a really lovely picture, the horse looks really focused, whatever. That's a really bad example. Think of some horsey terminology. It should all be genuine, it should all be authentic, but putting that time in and actually bothering to engage with people and use the platform well is going to really, really help you. Not only is it going to help your accounts become a lot more visible, but it's going to allow people to connect with you because they're going to get to know you. They're going to get to know your tone. They're going to get to know how you think, that you're a pleasant person, that you're a jolly person, that you're a font of all knowledge. All of these things they're going to know. So use the platforms properly. Now this does take time, but it will be better for you to post less regularly. So if you're thinking of posting 2 or 3 times a day, post once a day, but use the time that you would have spent on the other 2 posts to get involved with the platform. As you get more and more involved with it, you understand it more, you engage more, you can probably reduce that time a little bit and rein it in because you will have honed in on what you really want to focus on. So whether that's hashtags you really like, people you really enjoy following, you will have honed that down so you can reduce the time there and up your schedule from a posting point of view if that's what you want to do. But definitely don't underestimate the value of truly using a platform if you ever want to use it to grow your business and grow your following online. That was a bit ranty, apologies. Next, images. Oh, images. Images make or break a social media account. I'll be completely honest with you. Particularly Instagram is the visual platform, let's be honest. If you have a rubbish Instagram image, just don't bother posting it. Please God, just don't post it. When I see an out of focus, blurred image, an overexposed image, it drives me mad. And I just wonder why they've posted it. Because if you are being a brand and you want to come across as professional, sleek, to be honest, whatever you want to come across as a brand, I imagine unprofessional, rushed, and not showing attention to detail isn't on that list. And to me, when I see a bad image, that's exactly what I think. And I'm not saying you have to have professional images all the time. I would definitely urge you to consider having a professional photo shoot if you... Well, generally, to be honest, I think the value of professional photo shoots is massively underrated. But I do also think that at home you're able to achieve a huge amount. With iPhone cameras nowadays, you can achieve masses. Other cameras are available. You can do flat layers, you can do quote graphics, you can do selfies, you can do pictures of, your working environment, the people behind the brand. You can do all these things yourself, but make it good. The phone will help you a lot. My phone helps me a lot. I have no idea what witchcraft is going on in its brain, but it manages to pull it out the bag, and that makes me very, very happy. And again, I'm not a photographer, I'm not an expert, but there are so many things you can learn online to just improve your iPhone photography or your other device photography that you can then use day to day. But just put the effort in and make sure that the images are really, really strong. There are also ways you can get involved with professional photographers for less money. So whether that's you collaborate with them, whether you help them build their profile in some way. I should say these people are usually ones who are building their portfolio, building their portfolio. And if you're in groups like the Small and Supercharged group, for example, quite often people will ask for collaborations, and photographers do offer their services in exchange for other things. So like a bit of a barter system, that could work. Won't work with bigger photographers, but that's fine too. But sometimes the bigger photographers have other options where they do a shoot with a number of different brands, and actually you get to pay very little for, rather than hundreds and hundreds or thousands for a shoot, you get to pay a much smaller amount, because although you have then got these professional images, the whole day isn't dedicated to you. And a lot of the time, especially if you're a smaller business, you don't necessarily need a whole day. And these are usually product shoots rather than headshot shoots. But there are lots of different ways you can get strong imagery, even if it's that you enroll on an online course and up your game, or that you work with a photographer, or that you learn from a photographer. Get your imagery sorted. We said that Instagram is a really visual platform, but Facebook is too. I know I scroll and scroll and scroll, and the thing that stops me scrolling is either a video or a still image that is good, and I want to know what that image is about. It's ultimately the most engaging thing you can do to stop people scrolling, and that really does work on Twitter, on all the platforms, because there's so much text there. When you see a lovely image, it really breaks it up, and you can start to storytell when you see an image. When you just see a load of letters, you have to read it. So strong imagery. If you want to grow your business using social media, you've got to get your imagery sorted. Next thing is, when you're looking at the content you're putting out there in social media, it's really important to get yourself in front of the camera. It's really important that people get to know you. People really do buy from people. But it's also very, very important to realise that it's not all about you. And by that I mean, get yourself out there, get your face in front of the camera, but don't make every caption and comment and whatever about you and how brilliant you are, because there is nothing that I think is a huge turn off as people saying, look at me, I'm brilliant. What you want to do is you want to show your brilliance by what you're doing. So if maybe I really do believe you should get your face out there a lot, but that doesn't mean you can't use your images and use your captions to talk about other things that relate to your customers. So maybe, I mean, a lot of things I talk about when I have got my face there is, okay, I've got a good one. So a couple of weeks ago, by the time you hear this, there was the Hi Ho and Co Day over at Blackdown Shepherd Huts. And the lovely photographer who was there was called Matt Sweeting. So it was a professional, I say photo shoot, it wasn't. He was like the roving photographer and captured us when we weren't looking. And he very kindly took a number of pictures of me when I was teaching my workshop. And I was really funny about the pictures. They were lovely pictures, but I was uncomfortable with them because I didn't look how I wanted to look. This is really silly, but just stick with me. So there's a picture and I was sitting in a shepherd's hut and I have a group of 4 or 5 people and I'm speaking to one of them and I look really focused and really engaged because I was, but I looked at the picture and I thought, oh, yeah, I look really tall. I am tall for the record, so it's not like he stood anything. And I felt I looked a bit podgy and I don't like either of those things. And I really agonised about whether to put the picture on. Now I did put the picture on, but what I talked about wasn't the fact that, wow, look at me, I'm amazing, I'm giving a workshop on social media, aren't I great? Who wants that? I certainly don't. I talked about how the image had made me feel and how funny I was about putting it out there, because it's completely true. But also it's massively relatable to my audience because a lot of people that I work with are small business owners who know they need to get themselves out there more, but are really scared of going in front of the camera. And I get that. I still hate having my picture taken, but I know how good it is. So I make the content I put out there, I don't make it about me because it's not about me. It's about my fans, my followers, the people I'm really, really grateful for that follow me. I want to put out stuff that they find useful or funny or relatable or it makes them think, rather than me saying, look at me, I'm brilliant. No one wants to see that. The only exception would probably be testimonials. I think they're really valuable. And if I go and do something, so I do quite a bit of guest lecturing at different universities and colleges, and I really love sharing that. But even then, when I do that, I talk about the fact that either it's been a challenge or it's really good because I love it. I really enjoy speaking to the students and they really make me work hard. But rather than, aren't I great, I was asked to go and guest lecture at another university. Because again, that's really arrogant and really dull. But if I talk about the fact that I'm working with students, and how interesting that is, because it always is, it's about the person reading it who will actually then think, wow, I didn't know she did guest lecturing, for example. So you don't have to yell at people how great you are. Let your work do the talking. It's really important, and I see this a lot as well. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about the thoughts you have. Talk about the issues you have. Talk about the things you're proud of. Don't just tell people you're brilliant. No one cares. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. I really do. But look at some really good Instagram accounts out there and you'll see that they tell stories. They use their imagery to storytell to make a situation relatable to their audience. And that's a really good thing to do. The next thing is to create value. So in your social media content, don't just use it as a platform to sell from. Don't just be telling people to buy, or do. Create value for them. Think about what you're doing. So with my business, for example, I put out a lot of content. So obviously the podcast, that is some free content I produce. I also write a couple of blogs a week. I do an Ask Me Anything live on a Monday. I make sure that in my sort of schedule, I put out a lot of free content. I create a lot of value because I want to reward the people who have been kind enough to follow me and to like what I'm doing. And by me saying bye, and I'm probably the other way, I need to do that more, by saying, have you thought about this? Do you know about this? Do you know this top tip? I'm giving them a reason to follow me. I'm giving them a reason to be engaged with what I'm talking about. It's not all about what I want them to do. It's what I can give to them as well. There's it's the kind of jab, right hook, which is Gary Vee, but also there's a give, take. There, I don't know the numbers, but you need to give, you need to create the value, you need to ask people's opinions, you need to get them involved. And it's really important to do this. Think about what you can give, not what you can gain, and you won't go far wrong with that too. The next tip is going to be about my beloved video, because I love video and it continues to get bigger and bigger and better. And if you're not on the video train, get on it, please, please. There's some amazing stats about the continued growth of video and how big it's going to continue to get. And if you're not on that, you're going to miss out. And I don't want you to miss that. If you're listening to this podcast, if you just do one thing from when you've listened, just have a go at video for me. It can be on an Instagram story, it can be an Instagram live, Facebook live, upload it natively to Facebook, show it on YouTube, whatever you want to do. But please, please have a go. Social media is so video led nowadays, and it has so many values, so much value there, because the best way to connect to people, to get to know them, is to look at them when they're talking to you. If you meet somebody at a show, in a shop, they'll be talking to you, you'll be looking in their eyes, and you'll be looking at how their arms move and what they think about and how their words flow, the terminology they use. And that's what allows you to get to know people. So if you can get yourself on video, you are helping people to make that connection with you directly, not through an image they imagine how you talk or imagine the things you'd say. You're telling them. This might mean that some people decide you're not their person, and you know what? That's fine too, because they were going to find out at some point. So please have a go at video. It doesn't have to be perfectly polished and, beautiful intros, beautiful outros, whirly graphics, all this. It doesn't have to be any of that nowadays at all. It can just be you speaking to your phone about something that matters to you. That's all it needs to be. You can edit on your phone, and as you probably know, because I keep mentioning iPhones, I've got an iPhone. I've got it's quite old actually, 7 Plus. I should get a new one. But on my phone and on Apple software, there's a free program called iMovie, which is incredible if you want to just top and tail it. Or I can actually just do that inside the camera roll. I can just take the top and bottom off it. If you want to do a bit more, iMovie is really good. But there are a lot of other alternatives for non-Apple that, are really easy to use. So don't worry about it. And the beauty is with video, if you're not doing a live, you can film it and then review it. And if you don't like it, delete it. But the first step is just having a go. Even if it's just for you to introduce yourself to your customers, do it, please. If you're excited about a new product, show it on video. There are so many different ways you can use video. Please, please, please give it a spin. If you're not, you're really doing yourself and your brand a disservice. I really believe that. The last point I want to talk about today is how you can use social media for competitions and collaborations. I'm hugely pro collaborations, and competitions is definitely a way of collaborating, but there are lots of different ways of working with people as well. And if you're looking to grow your equestrian business online, please look into this. It's a really cost-effective way to promote yourself in a way that everybody wins. So when you approach a collaboration or a competition, you need to make sure that what you're offering is equal to or better than what you're being given. So if somebody's got a much greater following than you, in my opinion, you should be the one stepping up with a better prize or putting more of the legwork in, because you want it to work for you. These can be such a good way to grow your business, your equestrian business, using social media, because that's how you would promote the competition, or maybe that's how you run the competition, is you can run obviously competitions directly on the platforms. But it's so good, and I've seen such incredible results time and again with a well thought through competition which ticks all the boxes, where collaboration really has been brought to the fore. Please have a go at it for me, please. So that is today's podcast about how to use social media to grow your equestrian business. I hope you found that really useful. If you want to know more about this kind of thing, I do have a membership group called the Small and Supercharged Mastermind, and each month we have knowledge bundles, we have a live training each week. We're going to have some really cool guest experts dropping in, which is really cool, to do sort of standalone sessions, and we have challenges, and I'm in there a lot helping people one-to-one as well, and putting ideas and thoughts in there that I can share. So if you want to grow your small business, do consider having a look at that. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. If you go to my website, there's a tab at the top that says Small and Supercharged Mastermind, and you will find all of the information in there. So that's riafreemanpr.co.uk, and it's all in there. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch up very, very soon. Next week, in fact, when we have an episode with an interview again. So I will speak to you then. Thank you so much for listening. Take care.